Start to pile in. Okay, welcome everybody. Very honored to be here with our amazing presenters. We've got a group of them. Remember, I think we've got 35 in total. So we've got 7 of them online with us here today for the Meet the Presenters Q&A. And we might get a few more that pop on in a little bit. And thank you so much for those of you who are joining us live for this. It's a rare opportunity that we can get such a diverse group of people together. So I feel really blessed that all of you who are here today were able to attend. So thank you, presenters, those of you who are with us. Thank you, thank you. Yes, Care Bear heart symbol right there. And I think most of you know me by now. I'm Alexina, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Infinite Gathering. It's been a real honor. We're on day 3, and we've had just so much wisdom and knowledge shared through these days on how we can uplift ourselves in these times where that's what we're actually being invited to do in the midst of the breakdown of this, that, and the other thing, which we won't get into. You get enough of that on the news. So today we are about inspiration and hope. And in this presenters Q&A, we have the lovely Julie Blue, who will be supporting with the moderation of the questions. And she's going to share some questions that have been coming up throughout the event. Some of you have been sharing online. And we're also going to take some live questions for those of you who are currently participating live on the call. So feel free to keep those questions coming in. If you have a specific question for a specific presenter, or if you have a question that you'd like to maybe hear from a couple of the presenters, now is your opportunity. It's first come, first served type thing. So make sure to raise your hand in the queue there or type your question out so that your voice can be heard. And if we don't cover it all today, not to worry, you will have an opportunity to continue to ask questions through the Whova app. We are keeping track of all the questions, and although we may not be able to get to all of them this weekend, we will be sure to get to all of them soon enough. All righty, well, I'll pass it over to Julie, and take it away, Julie.
Thank you so much, Alexina, and it's just really great to be here with all of you. I just thought it was a wonderful weekend and hearing so many different perspectives, and I thought I would kick things off by having kind of a general question that could go out to all of us, and maybe I'll start. So, you know, my name is Julie Blue, and my background is in music. I'm a composer and a singer, and a calling together of people to sing in lots of different formats. So with that background, I'm going to answer the question, you know, we're talking about your calling up your inner healer, awakening it, calling it up, having connection with it. So I want to answer the question, and I want to ask the question because I'm so excited to get to hear from each of you what you believe. And first of all, what is the inner healer? And I would say, from my perspective, the inner healer is the voice that's going to steer me on the path of love, the path of light, the path of wellness. It's going to connect me to my higher self. And I know for me, the challenges can be, which voice do I listen to amidst this myriad of voices? How, when I awaken it, when I connect with my inner healer, what can I do to live my life in a more well way? And again, from my perspective, you know, we're in some challenging times that we're not in community like we often do. My big choirs, my song circles, none of that is going. All the performances are canceled. And so what I'm learning is to be an even deeper connection with myself, with that inner voice I was speaking about, and to find a way to have some kind of practice to stay in connection with whatever you consider the divine to be, whether that's nature or meditation or listening to music or yoga or whatever that is. So that's my question, and my answers is to say, how would you speak to what this inner healer is? And now that you have an awareness of what it is, what would you say to people? And in your personal lives, how do you call that inner healer up to to engage and to really help you live your life from the highest place. And I'm going to just, like if we were in circle, if we were sitting up on a stage, a dais on the Chan Center, I would just pass it to my right. And on my right is Misha. So Misha, I'm looking forward to getting to know you a little bit more. Tell me a little bit about yourself and talk to us about this inner healer, what it is, and how you engage with it in your life.
Thanks so much, Julie. Hi, everybody who's watching. And thank you to all the other panelists for being here. And of course, Alexina and Mickey for putting this together. I loved your description there, Julie, of first of all, who I am, what I do. My background is in movement therapy, and particularly in the connection of movement therapy to the mind and the emotions and the nervous system, and how those things show up in what we often view as physical pains, and often try to treat with physical modalities, and often struggle treating them that way. I loved what you said about the inner healer being that voice within that's going to lead you in the right direction. And from my experience in my personal process and in working with clients as well, I think that there's always that intuition, that golden thread within, that we know what is right for us. But I think that it's really hard in our modern, busy Western society to connect to that. And so I think that we all have the ability to have that guidance from the inner healer within, but the entry point to that needs a container, needs a space. And I really know from my own practice that relaxation, safety, peace, calm is the breeding ground for that intuition to really come to the surface. So I think that's kind of the number one thing, that when we connect with that state, which is hard to connect to, it takes a conscious effort to go against the grain of busyness and doing more and doing more and doing more. But when we can get to that place, then the answer becomes usually quite simple. And I think that the inner healer gives us one step. It's simple, and it's one step at a time in the right direction. We don't always know exactly where it's going to go, but it always leads, like you said, towards more wholeness, more light, more ease, and away from dis-ease.
Yeah, that's really great. One step at a time kind of takes away the overwhelm and brings it right back home to that one step at a time. On my screen, in my circle, you're up next, Maggie. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie, Misha, Alexina, everyone. It's been a very inspiring weekend, and to my surprise, I've really enjoyed attending an online conference. So it's been a bit of an eye-opener, very relaxing to do all of these at home. So the inner healer, I think we need to create space for the inner healer to arise. We can't hear if we don't become quiet. So we have to find ways to become quiet. And that entry point will be different for different people. The quietness could be listening in a conversation. Sometimes we have insights when we're talking with someone because we just go into the zone and we actually become present with that person. The messages for me often come in dreams. I'll get a recurring dream that will direct me very clearly what to do. I think the main thing is finding a practice, finding something that you enjoy, that doesn't feel like work, and brings you into your body, your breath, and something that feels maybe beyond that. a stillness. And in that space, there's clarity.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. You can start to feel the weaving, this trail that's coming from the three of us, and now coming over to you, Caroline.
Thank you, Julie. And thank you to everyone who's here. And I totally agree with everything that everyone has said so far. One of the most important things is to find a space of peace, a space of quiet, and a space of relaxation. I'm a craniosacral therapist as well as been a writer. And I know that when I work on people, they may come with whatever kind of problem it is, but when they get to a place of complete relaxation, this is when they start to have a breakthrough and they start to be able to hear that tiny inner voice that gets drowned out by the outside world, that gets drowned out by also what's going on in our head. So it's not just that we need to leave the outside world behind to find the inner healer. We also need to leave behind the inner mechanical chatter that drives us crazy in order to find the true voice. Like you were saying, Julie, like, which voice do I listen to? Yes, we have so many. And if we find that place of peace, tranquility, and relaxation, the voice that we need to listen to is the one that makes us smile. The one that really leads us back to the heart, where we say thank you to whatever source you hold in the heart of hearts that makes you realize, thank you, I'm so grateful for that information. The one that puts, the joy back into your life. This is the one, this is the voice that we listen to, the one that brings us joy, because the voice that brings us joy is the opposite of the voice that brings suffering. And so we know that if we're happy, that it has to be the right voice. Or when we're at peace, joy is like not happy, like exuberant, but the one that gives us this deep inner peace and joy.
It just makes me want to take a big breath and burst into song. Thank you. Tanya, hello.
Hola.
Yes,
Thank
your
you,
turn.
Julie.
Hi.
I want to say that I agree with everything that's been said, and I'd like to just offer a little something extra. In our spiritual training called Pneuma, we believe that the inner healer is the inner being. So the question is, what is the inner being? In the best way that I can explain it, is the inner being is our immortal divine self that resides within the heart of our hearts. This is our deepest and truest connection to divinity. Whatever it is that you want to call divinity, I believe that God is love. So love. What I've learned on this path of awakening is that this little voice is very quiet and very simple, like Misha and Caroline had said. Very, very, very quiet and very clear. The thing is, we all know what that voice is. And that is the voice we quite often don't want to listen to because it is the truth. We all know what we should be doing in life if we want to have an optimal life. We do know that choosing the dangerous boyfriend is a bad idea, so we need to listen to the heart. We know that to eat too much is not a good idea, and we choose not to listen to it. So in my opinion, the inner healer is very clear. We're already connected to that. So to come to the heart, like Misha and Caroline have already said, we have to calm that chatter, get into here, get connected, and make the commitment to listen deeply and have the discipline to follow through. So when it comes to overall or optimal health, we already know what we need to do. We just have to listen and make the commitment and follow through. So I am not going to be able to tell you any more than what your heart already knows. your inner being that resides within the heart. That is the truest aspect. Your God spark, your divinity. We don't know anymore. None of us know any more than that. So, you know, I think that everything, all the courses I've heard so far are fabulous. And I see a thread that's running through everyone's talk. And it's all about coming here. And this is where the inner being is. This is where the inner healer is. So I say, go there. Go there.
I think what you're adding to the conversation is go there with 4 wheels on the road. Actually make a viable commitment to, if these are the steps, then you do those steps. Because I think it can be easy to be up here and it's a whole other thing to go, this is what I'm doing and this is my practice. And
yeah, we all know it, right? We literally, I know everyone's shaking their head. We all know it. Everybody knows it. We need the encouragement to go there and to listen.
Yeah, well, it feels like as we come to you, Naisha, it feels like the conversation is shifting into, yeah, okay, so it's about being calm and it's about being still and accessing this part. Now what? You know, now how do you really bring that into your life? And I have this feeling I am asking the right woman. Over to you, Naisha.
Well, first of all, there's something really powerful when the thread that Tanya was talking about is literally resonating, you know, like the chord in a beautiful instrument here. It's just incredible. Oh, thank you. Yes, very moving. And to hear and see these common denominators that we're all reaching for. There is nothing I would add except the fact that I think you segued it perfectly, Julie, when you said, we all know, as Tanya pointed out, but to put those 4 wheels on the ground is a whole nother ball of wax. And that's where folks have the difficulty. And so if it's out there around us and it's so accessible and we all can get still enough and tap into that. And then now what? The weird part about my life and my work is I work with folks who are diagnosed with cancer. And I was a general practitioner for 17 years before I went completely into the oncology world. And I don't want this to sound like a negative thing, but because I actually see it as a very powerful, positive thing. But the experiences I've had working with folks diagnosed with cancer and looking their mortality right in the face has been some of the most amazing experiences of my life. Because when someone is faced with their mortality, knowingly faced with their mortality, they are often very motivated to do all the things to put those wheels on the ground and to drive that vehicle forward. And I don't ever wish it upon anybody to have that diagnosis to do this, which is what I'm hoping everyone gets out of this weekend, is that you don't have to wait for a cancer diagnosis to be your wake-up call or to get your vehicle on that road or to finally see the opportunity in a disease that could literally snuff your candle in any given moment. And it brings all of those experiences so close. And so when I think about this, one exercise I do with patients is none of us really know when. You know, the only thing that's guaranteed is that we are born and that we die. Some people might say taxes, as well. But if we all started to live as if each moment is our last, and that you wanted to infuse the absolute best of yourself into it and extract the best out of it, how might that change the way you live your life? And hearing all of the pieces from Tanya and Misha and Caroline and Maggie to talk about all the different ways you can start to access that, wouldn't that be the gift, that cancer doesn't have to be your messenger or your wake-up call, and that you could take the initiative to do that before your life literally depends on it? And so I more put the question back to the group of, how do we compel people who aren't directly facing their mortality to do the things?
And that's coming right from your ears. Over to you, Nick.
Hey guys, totally blessed to be here, and thank you, Alexina, for inviting me into this group. It's really beautiful. The messages are incredible, And where I see this conversation going is really stepping in that place of identity and just owning that piece of what I like to reference is that, are we willing to be seen the way God sees us? And whatever that may be to you, the listener, God, Great Spirit, energy, vibration, it really doesn't matter. But if we can choose that for ourselves, I think that opportunity that Naisha is speaking to is open for all of us, because then we're accepting that which is our birthright. We're accepting that which is our gift. And as a parent, I can't help but think that it's not always easy to find those times of bliss and downtime. And I mean, my wife contributed on this conference as well, and she's with the boys right now. And when I see these little moments that arise that we have to create as parents, you know, at the wee hours of the morning or late time in the night, it's that time for us. And so wherever you are in your journey, you can make time, and time is, you know, it is an opportunity essentially. And when I see the challenges that people go through when they're not tapped into that inner healer, often we don't meet resilience with that mindset, that mindset of, are we willing to see ourselves the way God sees us? And so when I think of these moments where I'm challenged by my boys or time or expectation or different things like that, I can either face that resilience with a bow and a nod with gratitude, or I can face that resilience with absolute resistance. And I think that's a real promise for the times that we're in, is, are we willing to invite that promise into our lives of meeting our resistance with a bow? And are we going to choose that option or the opportunity to be seen the way that the Great Spirit of God can see us? And then truly, will we step into that in our future as we steward this next evolution of this planet that we're all, you know, massively are facing right now? So this is a really important time, and I'm honored to be here. And thank you for creating such a beautiful space with this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Nick, how old are your boys?
6 and 9.
Well, as a mom myself, what I know is when you can hang with from toddlers up and keep your composure, you are doing the work that God sees us.
It's work.
And we're going to bring
Thank you.
this right back full circle to Alexina, who really had the intuition and the brainchild with Mickey to ask the question, what is our inner healer and how do we come into a deeper relationship with it? Over to you, Alexina.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear everybody's sharings. And I think that, you know, the reason why is because when we were all hit with the chaos back in March or February, whenever it was, my heart was breaking for all the voices that weren't being heard amongst the noise that was taking up most of the space in media and in the psyche of many human beings, and the amount of fear that was perpetuated through all that was happening. And I thought of all the incredible practitioners and people that I know that have faced so many obstacles internally and have found the inner healer. Maybe not all the time, you know, because we find and then we veer and then we come back and we veer, but we've tasted it. And this knowing that there is a way out of the chaos, there absolutely is a way. There's no doubt that there's a very clear way out. And I thought to myself, we need to come together. We need to create an army of light, if you will, together. And we exist everywhere, all over the planet. And many people are sharing their work in different ways. And I felt that my contribution would be to reach out to my community, which is all of you, and find out how you're doing. And I realized that a lot of us were doing the same. We felt like we needed our voice to be heard. And so this event has really been an opportunity to allow our voices to be heard and to connect with those who also want their voices to be heard, to speak on behalf of the power that we all have to overcome any obstacle. And that, you know, the three pieces, when you're blessed in life, it's you have teachings, you have a teacher, and you have a community. And this community is very strong. And I think that we have to come together more and more and remember that we're not alone on this path. And in the beginning, I mean, I have a huge community like many of you do, and I felt alone. There were moments when I was feeling isolated, and I thought to myself, okay, well, let's go back to the heart and find a way forward. And so through reaching out to all of you, and you reaching out to your people, and those people reaching out to more people, we can have an impact. And so grassroots movements are the ones that change the world. We all know that. And so that's what this is. It's an opportunity for the teachings that we've received to go out into the world in the way that it needs to go out into the world, to help more people, to find hope, to find inspiration, and to know that they absolutely can heal themselves in whatever amount that they can in this life. And to know that that power continues forward wherever the next step of the journey takes them.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, Alexina, and you sure are an example of someone who has the inspiration and puts the wheels on the ground. I want to do a fast round, because in one of my earlier conversations, I think sometime in March or April with Alexina, I was asking her, okay, so about this COVID thing, what we're supposed to all stay in our houses with a mask on, like what can we really do? And she said, well, you know, it's a sensitive thing. I'm a naturopath. I'm not sure if I should talk about it. And hey, she created it. She can talk about it. So let's do a real lightning round, like a minute of, okay, we know that we're in these times where we're not gathering in big groups. What's something you can do about it? And I'd be really happy and excited to hear, you know, is there a specific offering? What are you doing that can help people? So I'm going to go first again, because let's see how lightning I can be. Community, don't isolate. It pulls you right down when you isolate. So even though I'm used to singing with people live, I'm doing song circles online. And though it's different, we still are community. So I've got community, and then I want to say creativity. Make something, a ball of clay, a painting, anything. And what I've been making while you guys have been talking, I've been writing, and not because I'm not listening to you, but because I am. So I've been taking some of the key things you've been saying and putting them into lyrics, which could be a final song that's never been sung before, if you want to hear it at the very end. That's all I can do. Find people I love to be around me and to make stuff up to keep me going. I'm going to toss it right over to you, Nick. Give me a minute. What can you do with this Corona thing to keep yourself going?
All right. Well, 1 minute, I'll do my best. I think the big one is just getting rid of judgment. I think that's really important, especially in the world of social media. I think we can all do a better job of asking questions. And if we could do that, I think we could step out of judgment, because we're all so much the same, but we're all so unique in our stories, in our challenges. And it's very easy for us to move into assumption when we hear someone's point of view or challenge or even in their health history, because we don't know until we know. So how can we be more question oriented and less judgmental? And of course, I would have 1,000 things to say on the health side, but we'll save that for another time.
Is there somewhere we can go? Because I want those 1,000 things, and I want people to hear them, and there's not quite time at this point. Is your site on Whova? Did you speak about this in your hour? How can we get?
Yeah, my talk was all about being a more adaptable human being, using biohacking and fasting and detox, and becoming more harmonious with the nature that's around us. And how do we lessen some of the burden of toxic exposure? So
that's important.
That's a place
stuff.
to start.
So people can get in touch with your information that you have to share.
Yeah. If they check out the work I did, the call, they'll learn a lot more.
Beautiful. The other thing that Nick said that I
Thanks.
thought so important is, you know, how do you know the truth when you hear it? And to me, I'm just seeing people unfriending each other and going into these little wars. And I really like that. Be on a quest for information and leave the judgment behind. What do you think, Naisha? I see you nodding and know you have something wonderful to add.
First, I love, this is such a fun conversation, or not so fun, depending on the situation you're in. It's great. Literally yesterday, I got in the mail a new book from Chelsea Green Publishing, came out, called Corona, False Alarm, Facts and Figures. And it's written by Karina Rice and Sucharit Bhakti, both doctors out of Germany, both researchers, immunologists, I mean, really smart people. And the book is so excellent. It took me about 45 minutes to read it. It's about 120, 30 pages with about 300 references. It is just laying out the details of just information that is not politicized, not, you know, like aggrandized. I mean, everything has gotten so ridiculous. It's just clarity about what does this actually mean? Where are we in this? So it's probably the best thing I've read so far since March, since this all started. And way back in March, I wrote a little blog that's free on my website, just drnaisha.com. If you want to go take a look, I've not really changed my opinion on this one iota of what I wrote all the way back in March. And in fact, everything that Nick just spoke to, it is so very much about being connected back into the rhythm of nature, getting back to ourselves. We are so far out of balance. We are so disconnected from our natural resources, from our natural environment, from our natural inner rhythms, that it's no wonder that there's 20% of us that may have a very difficult time with this. And where 80% of us may never even recognize we had an exposure or had any issues with it. And that kind of leaves me just leaving these 6 doctors, which I love this old quote from a famous nursery rhyme writer, which are the best 6 doctors: fresh air, exercise, water, rest, good diet, and sunshine. Honestly, if people are imbibing in those simple medicines, you will never need to see somebody like me. So just want to leave that.
That's just great. Could I ask you, when we were finished, to just write down that book and the author in the chat? Because I think we'd like to take a look at it. And the other thing that you said that I think was just gold, having just been at a friend's bedside as he passed, and seeing a whole lifetime drop away as he dropped his armor, and there he was. And having had the thought, does it take dying to get to this authentic, loving being? And I really want to acknowledge that you had said that, and this could really be a wake-up call for us to live in a more loving, authentic way. And my intuition is saying to move to you next, Misha.
Thank you. I think one of the most important things that I've seen for myself in kind of modulating my response to everything that's been going on the last couple months is going on a diet. And not a diet of food, but a diet of what's nourishing me on all the levels. There's so much negative information out there, so much fear-based information. Like Alexina was talking about, that's what the focus of the news is. The news does that really well. And we know that that has such an impact on when we feed that fear, when we feed that worry, when we feed that that judgment that Nick was talking about. That's going to have a big impact on all of our physiological processes. Psychoneuroimmunology tells us that's going to have an impact on our immune system. So it's this downward spiral that we can get into, but if we can catch it early enough, when we see what are the little actions that we're doing, am I going to listen to the news right now? Does this help me? Is this going to be useful? Is it going to take me in the right direction? Or is it just kind of a curiosity that I have? And when we go on a diet and start focusing on what we're nourishing ourselves with, we can look at those 6 best doctors. If we put our time towards those, and instead of waking up and watching the news in the morning and seeing how many other people have died today, we go out and get some fresh air, your day will guaranteed be better. And nothing will have changed in the world by you not knowing about what has happened. That's something I figured out early on, is that I can't take on all the world's problems with this, but I can take care of myself And if I can do that, then I can directly deal with anything that comes up for me way better.
You're getting lots of mighty head nods there, Misha. And I'm going to move it to you, Caroline, but I thought maybe I would just morph the next question in with this question. And this is something that I've really been looking at, and I imagine that a lot of other people is too. So Misha was talking about, you know, the news, and you hear this and you hear that and hear this and you hear that. Caroline, how, you know, as we look at this world, how do you start to figure out what's true and what do you let in to your psyche? I know Misha is saying what's nourishing for him, and I like that. What would you comment on? How do you know, with all the information coming, how do you discern what's true and what of that information you want to take in?
That's a really interesting question, and thank you. And thank you, Misha, for what you just said, because I think that's extremely important. You know, we do know that all this negativity has a really terrible influence on our immune system, and that we really need to nourish ourselves with what is positive. So for me, there were two things. I recognized very early on when this started that two points of view were put forward at all times. So something would be released, and then a few hours later, the complete opposite would be released by somebody else. So there was this dichotomy in information. So I figured very early on that I didn't want to listen to any of that, because if there is no truth, there's no one truth. And the point of that is to confuse and cause fear. So I opted out of listening to too much news. And every now and then I get pulled in and I see the negative effect that it has on my mind, and I pull back out again. So what is true? It's such a huge question. What is true? We know that we live in the Maya. No, we live in illusion. So really the only truth we can find is the inner truth in our heart. That's the only truth that we can find. And like Misha was saying, the best thing for me was to get in nature. Every day, I'm lucky, I live in Ojai, I can walk out of my house and I can walk up to the mountains. I'm very fortunate in that way. And it would bring me back to feeling a part of something that is greater than myself. But also it would bring me back to a point of having a great deal of gratitude. And when you can live in a space of gratitude, you bypass fear. And so, yeah, that was what I did.
Exactly. And we've heard this coming up throughout us, how gratitude bypasses fear. I'm moving things because I know that we've just got until 5 or 6:30. And thank you for that. What you said is deeply important. Now, Tanya, because I know you, I'm going to toss something at you and you see if you want to catch it. I know that you love myth and you love storyteller, and we know that time is a little short, but I'm wondering, when I think about you with children way in the future, 10 years down the road, you're telling children a story about the evolution that happened to humanity during these corona times. Can you tell us that story?
Oh my God.
By all means, just say, forget it, you're a wild woman.
Actually, think that
have it, so I can feel
obviously brilliant and creative, but I actually was asking myself if I want to be brave enough to really share my opinion. So I think
you go there.
The courage train here. Okay, so this is for the people who live in Vancouver. I'm not. This isn't really for those who are in the United States. What I've been telling my clients that come to see me, I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine, is that we have to be so careful about fear, as Caroline said. We need to look at the facts, as Nasha said. In Vancouver alone, we had 82 cases on Thursday, 161 new cases on Friday. However, what we should be really looking at is the recovery rate, okay? Persons infected and recovery rate. That's what we're not paying attention to. Vancouver is doing exceptionally well. If we look what's happening in Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver is doing exceptionally well. I think that we need to be reminded that we're okay. We still need to be careful. Of course, common sense. They're creating fear around the second wave However, the fact that we're already getting used to washing our hands and wearing some masks, I think we're going to see a very much lower cold and flu infection rate. So I think that's something we need to look at. My other question is this: has the virus mutated? I'm thinking probably has, because why aren't more people dying here? What's going on here? I don't even want to go there, but all I'm just saying is look at the facts. Low, infection rate, high recovery rate. Use your common sense. And I think that's important. Now, as herb-wise, from a traditional Chinese perspective, I'm all about power mushrooms, not magic. That's for something else. Power mushrooms. Reishi mushroom in Chinese, lingzi. This is the herb of immortality in Chinese medicine. This is very good. Very good, even if you have autoimmune disorder. Okay, so this is the one herb I recommend everyone take.
Reishi.
Reishi, because, and you need to get the fruiting body and the mycelium, which is the rooting aspect. Okay, you need to get something as comprehensive, a little bit every day. And if you are in an active situation, then I would take more. But the thing about reishi is it amplifies and strengthens all of the viscera, the 5 viscera in Chinese medicine: the heart, the lung, the liver, the spleen, the kidney. So I would do that. That's my opinion. Reishi, the safe power mushroom that everyone can take, even if you have autoimmune disorder. Get on it now to strengthen all of your viscera, all of your chi, your life force, okay? Don't worry so much. Everything okay. Okay? Don't worry. Okay, that's my suggestion.
I'm so glad you gave your opinion, because there's some tangible things. Alexina, anything to add? You felt like your voice was silenced before.
You know, there's power in numbers. So the more that we hear everybody's voice, I think that the stronger our impact will be and will continue to be in allowing people to know that they have options and they have choices. And at the end of the day, the power is in their hands. So our role is to provide the knowledge and to share it with love and compassion and kindness, because that's actually what heals. And then people can make the choices that are relevant for where they're at in their journey. Thank you.
I love it. And Maggie, I could never leave you out.
Thank you, Julie. Well, as a yoga therapist, the big medicine is the breath and movement in the thoracic spine. So lots of breathing, deep breathing. My teachers in India say that COVID doesn't like heat. So they actually teach heating practices. Inhale right nostril, exhale left is an example. The Kriyas, Kapalabhati, I really like, because it's a mix of heat and exhalation, which is detoxification. So you need this mix of heating, expanding the lungs, and then moving it out. So that's so any kind of movement is going to help. Any kind of exercise is going to help. And a lot of people are talking about this time as a big reboot for people. And I think it's a reboot for all of us, for nature, for society, for ways we do things. I think for those of us who are change makers, we're like, okay, what do I do now? And so we're teaching online, and we're connecting with people in new ways, and we're going to online conferences, and we're like, oh, this is interesting. I actually like this. I mean, my plan on going is going to be mixed mode classes, because now in my yoga classes, I've got students from all over the world, not just Vancouver, coming to my little studio, which has been great, but it's been so expansive and inspiring. And I think this story is not being told enough. I think people are scared to tell this story because they feel guilty that they're actually having a good time during COVID. And we need more of this story. What is COVID teaching you? What is it showing you? How is it changing your life long term? For the environment, having a big exhale of all of us jumping in our cars every day, running to and for work for no apparent reason in many cases, except to sit in an office where you could do that at home. You know, this is important. This change is important. COVID, in some sense, is going to be breaking down some things that have needed to be broken down. So I'm really curious what's coming post-COVID. And in the meantime, let's all keep safe. Let's move. Let's eat well. We're at home. We have more ability to take care of ourselves. We're not running around. This is less vata deranging, as we say in Ayurveda. It's much more settling for the nervous system. We can take care of ourselves much better often at home than we can through this crazy frenetic world. And the mushroom, the reishi, that's the inner healer. You know, reishi is wisdom. So coming back to that inner healer, that reishi within, that rishi within. Thank you.
Oh, that was so wonderful. I knew someone had the story. You know, for me, during this time, I've set out to say, I'm going to be courageous and I'm going to share my gifts, even if it means taking a risk. So what I've done, I want to put it out there, is as you've been writing, I've been capturing. And what's here is lyrics to a song that has never been sung. I have no idea what it is. And I know that every movement needs a song. And I'm wondering if you'd like to hear your words sung back to you. Would you like that? Yeah? Shall I do it, Alexina?
Go for it.
Go for it. All right. Well, and I have to put my glasses on to see what the heck I've written. So I think this is the chorus, is something about, you know what I'd love to do? Will you take a breath with me and release it with a ah? One more time, getting me open to sing. One breath, drop your jaw and let it out. Ah. Awakening, awakening, the inner healer. Can you see yourself as God sees you? Awakening, the inner healer. The power is within you. What do you think, chorus? Yeah, let's do it again. Awakening, your inner healer. Can you see yourself as God sees you? Awakening, your inner healer. The power is within you. Go within, lead you in the right direction. Peace and calm is the place to begin. Go within, become quiet, create the space, listening for the point of grace. Gratitude to bring you joy is the direction of life. Awakening, your inner healer. Can you see yourself as God sees you? Oh, awakening, the inner healer. The power is within you. Immortal divine self. Oh, I love me some Tanya. On this path of awakening, there is no mistaking the voice. We all know what to do, and now it's time for 4 wheels on the ground to follow through when we look mortality right in the face. We find ourselves, we know our place. Awakening, the inner healer. Can you see yourself as God sees you? Awakening, the inner healer. The power You make me smile, you make me true. Awakening the inner healer. Awakening the inner healer. Can you see yourself as God sees you? Awakening the inner healer. The power is within you. I have had people ask me, how do you do, did you write the, what, do you want to know how I do that? Do you really? It's everything you said. I mean, I have years of, I've practiced and degrees and none, but then when it comes right down to it, the ego me just moves out the door and I awaken my inner healer and I ask the Creator to sing. So I want to say, I welcome you not just onto this circle, but into my lives. I truly welcome more healers and way showers and storytellers and open-hearted truth seekers. So, however we can support each other and connect going forward, I am there. And thank you for your wonderful words. You made it so easy to moderate. And because I just love her so much, and see, I'm gonna make her laugh just by saying the word zucchini. It works every time with Alexina. I want to give Alexina the last word here today as we complete the session. Oh, but I would love to hear if anybody wants to tell me how that song hit you, where it brought you to what you were feeling. Does anybody want to tell me before I hand it to Alexina to sign off?
We wrote it as well, my dear, so you should read the chat box later, but...
Oh, you wrote it, okay.
Yes, thank you. That was incredible. You have a gift.
Misha, did you want to say something?
It was incredible. I was buzzing with energy, and that's the biggest my smile has been probably this whole week. So thank you for that.
Wonderful. I'll check the chat box. Alexina, my dear sister, take us home.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Julie, for the wonderful moderation and the beautiful song. And to the practitioners that have joined us today, thank you so much for your wisdom and your words. And I think they're going to continue to resonate past this session that we've done today. And may they plant seeds out into the world and continue to spark this movement that we're on. And we will be gathering again soon. You can count on that for sure. Stay strong, stay close, stay together. And have a wonderful night, everybody. Thank you to those who joined us on the call. And we'll see you all tomorrow morning, bright and early, as we continue with the virtual conference. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, Alexina. Thank you, Julie.
What a pleasure to meet you all. Hope I see you soon.
Thank you, Alexina and everyone.